Oh, hello there. Good morning. Good afternoon. Where do you live? Don't tell me where you live. I don't actually want to know. Don't give me that information. You can't give me that kind of power. It's kind of like dealing with Fae. You can't give them your true name because it gives them power over you. So don't tell people on the internet where you live. Um, I like how I'm starting off immediately on a tangent. Welcome back to Tea Tuesday, Talking Tuesday. I don't know. I'm probably going to do one of these on a Thursday. I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Um, Today we're going to talk a little bit about Marzgurl. Hey, it actually showed up right. Nice. I need to move it up a little. Great. You may be familiar with. Do I have audio? You guys hear me? It looks like it's good. Looks like it's fine. Do I not have audio? You guys hear me? There should be audio. All right, I'm assuming that you can hear me and everything is fine. I'll give this a minute. I am tired. I had quite the weekend. Did a lot of cleaning. Okay, so you might be familiar with Marzgurl from her time dealing with the whole Vic Mignogna situation. And I do not envy her for the amount of absolute bullshit that I have seen. Now, what garnered her this flack in the first place was basically someone she knew had an experience with Vic Mignogna that they were not comfortable coming forward and talking about, and Marzgurl did it for them. Now, as per the validity of whatever the story is, fine, whatever, you can talk back and forth about that however you see fit and however you wish, and okay, you can scrutinize that. There are reasonable ways and unreasonable ways. So basically, she ended up taking like a shitload of flack for her friend who she, shared the story of. Totally unreasonable. And she's been getting harassed ever since. And it's like, how many years has it been? A few, quite a few. But I want to talk about this specifically because it's a little bit about Twitter's way of handling these kinds of things. And I think that there's a good number of people who are familiar with the way Twitter tends to be terrible at handling harassment and trolling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think some of you have probably experienced it directly, given, the kind of community that we've come from and the kind of the shit that we've dealt with on, potentially behalf of others. So let's take a look here and see what she had put. What's good, everybody? I'm back from Twitter jail. This was on October 8th. What's good, everybody? I'm back from Twitter jail, here to tell you about Twitter safety's infuriating double standards about talking about being harassed versus actually being harassed. Spoilers, if you talk about your harassment, you get punished. So these are the two tweets. This one says, "You dumbasses, I deactivated my personal Facebook in July and currently do not have the means of logging into the Marzgurl page on Facebook. You're literally screaming into the sky and nobody is reading your stupid harassing chat messages." And then, haha, holy shit, what a fucking psychopath, with a link. Both of them have links to tweets. Are violating our rules against abusive behavior. Our support team has determined that a violation did take place and therefore we will not overturn our decision. You will not be able to access Twitter through your account due to violations of the Twitter rules, specifically our rules around in order to restore account function. Nothing. Around what? In order to restore account functionality, you can resolve the violations by logging into your account and completing the on-screen instructions, which is like removing these tweets. Right? So, no, making that smaller will make it so you can see it. Yeah, that's the secondary tweet there. So I'm sorry, did she get Twitter jailed for using the word dumbass? What? What? Don't talk about Facebook on our platform. There is only our platform. So you tell me what you guys think. One in the chat if you think that this is this violates, like, she's harassing anybody or is violating any rules. 2 in the chat if you're like, what? Big question mark. First, this person made weird tweets screaming in my direction has been making tweets in my direction since August. So it's now October. So like 3 months. Demanding he be unblocked so he can scream slurs at me. He posted this utterly unhinged screenshot of himself spamming my Facebook page. That was the start of this thread and my reply. Nah, bitch, unblock me. How you gonna talk shit, then immediately block me like a pussy, grow a pair, lamau. Let me in. Like a... That's the self-awareness. You gotta love it. And then here's the Facebook post, right? Still waiting, grow a pair, unblock me, bitch. Coke on. Coke on. You dropped your links to all your shit, and I know you saw my Discord invite. Stop ducking me like a pussy. Still waiting on you to stop being a pussy. Still waiting, grow a set of balls, bitch. Unblock me, pussy, lamau. And this was August 5th to August 6th to August 9th to August 11th to August 16th. Marzgurl is the biggest, and this was posted on October 4th. Marzgurl's the biggest pussy I've ever seen on this site. Will shit talk you and instantly block you and then go run and hide and go back to attacking Vic Maniana, which we've covered in a previous video. So if you're interested in finding a little bit more about that, go watch that. By the way, I know she saw my DMs on Facebook too. Ellipses, stop running from me, you coward. At everyone in the replies, lamau, if you're angry at me about it, then join my Discord and yell at me, bozos. What? I don't know. Something about this is like a little bit special to me. And then it spawned this, this was the start of this thread and Marzgurl replying. So it says, it has been nearly 4 years since this whole saga began, and this guy's timeline is an absolute obsessive nightmare of nothing but this crap. Bro, who even are you? I didn't even know you were alive until about half an hour ago. So basically, if you're not familiar, in order to have an active brand Facebook page, you have to have a personal page attached to it. The Marzgurl page still exists. The problem is that the Caitlyn page is deactivated. So nobody's logging in to manage it. So yes, he is screaming at a page that is technically still up and live. It's just that literally no one can log in and read what he's screaming. And then his original tweet got removed. And then this was what she had responded with. That first reply, the tweet that started the thread, was one of 2 tweets that got flagged by Twitter safety. Furthermore, down the thread, I started sharing screenshots of this guy's unhinged emails to me, along with him literally sending me money to scream slurs at me through PayPal. Like, can you be more obsessive? What the hell is this? Oh no, he's got a YouTube channel. Oh no. Me exist minding my own business. Everyone in my Discord at me. Bro, you told people to come to complain to you and scream at you. Wait. Everyone in the replies, lamau, if you're angry at me about it, then join my Discord and yell at me, bozos. People are attacking me in my Discord. What? I do like the idea that this is him minding his own business, by the way. Anyway, let's continue. Boop. Here we go. That first reply, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here it is. Konosuke, Edgelord, sent you 0.01 cent USD. At least send like $50 if you want somebody to take you seriously, right? Like, am I right? At least. Stop being a pussy and unblock me. If you want to talk shit and attack me, I'm all for it. But it's real cowardly to talk shit about me and then immediately block me and then continue to hide behind that block button. You're a coward and you're a fucking pussy. And my Discord server will continue to laugh at you and talk about how you, I think this is supposed to say, killed your own cat. Marzgurl sadly she had a cat. That cat is no longer alive. There was nothing questionable about it. The cat it lived like a cat. I've never seen anything that indicated there was any kind of issue with that. Stop being a coward from the email. Grow a set of balls and talk shit directly to me and not behind a block. Haha, holy shit. What yeah, this is why she called him a psychopath. Obviously, because I said the unhinged person was clearly unhinged, Twitter said I was the person with the problem, so that tweet in that thread got reported too. So those two tweets locked me out of my account. I couldn't have immediately deleted them, but I could have immediately deleted them, but I appealed. I mean, come on, I knew appealing something so blatantly obvious wasn't going to work because it's Twitter we're talking about, but I was going to try anyway, and guess what? They did exactly what you figured they do. And said, no, you're talking about harassment is harassment. Meanwhile, this is all happening while this guy has been bragging about how he knows my home address, and conveniently some other email addresses emails me not long after that telling me they know where I live and they're coming to see me tomorrow. Oh, look, our old friends Kiwi Farms. Surprise! No! You're only an hour away from me, so I'll be checking out the place tomorrow. Nice docks. That guy is now suspended, who also, here's the account so you guys can see, account suspended. Also tweeted that same address publicly, and guess who retweeted it? This guy, of course. Since my friend called them the friend, is too nice to post her docs, I'll be the one to do it. At Marzgurl lives at location, and here is her Kiwi Farms thread. Kiwi Farms. Hashtag kick Vic. Hashtag I stand with Vic. Hashtag ISWV, which is I stand with Vic. Hashtag Marzgurl. Hashtag Kiwi Farms. Wow, that bitch would have a Kiwi Farms thread. Intellectual, I definitely recommend checking out the video where we covered the Vic Magnana stuff. But hey, if you want to have a conversation with me about it, I would love to hear what you have to say. The last things I tweeted before I got locked out was waiting for Storyteller to show up at my house, which he was publicly bragging about. And if he and this Xeno guy aren't the same person, Konosuke, probably Konosuke, but I don't care about this person enough to get their name right. My last tweet before lockdown. Storyteller, currently on my way, and I will be outside the premise in about 45 minutes, October 7th. I will be visiting the home of Marzgurl today, and the best part of my anonymity is that I have the element of surprise along with Caitlin's home address. I'm allowed to do so since it's public information. If you made it public information, I'm allowed to do so since it is public information and a public area. I'm not harming anyone, so I am not breaking any laws. Cope? Like that? What? Hey, Oxcal, good to see you. So then Twitter locks my account for talking about this harassment, which is absolutely ludicrous. Now people are like, OMG, what happened? Did this guy show up? No, he was an absolute moron. He claimed he was there, but posted a screenshot with the Google watermark still on it. No! Yes, correct. That is not how any of this worked legally. But like to be so brilliant as to tell, I've had people say they know where I live before and pull this kind of shenanigan. They left the Google watermark on it. That's just sad. That's just incompetent. Like, come on. Anyway, this is just stopped by at Marzgurl's home and snapped this photo and grew hungry and stopped by the El Taco Loco across the street. Come outside. I only want to talk about your behavior. Bro, what? Google. Nothing's gonna undermine your threat like a Google watermark. Meanwhile, guess who's celebrating? Quote, yeah, we got that female we hate. Obviously, the weirdo simping for voice actor Vic Mignogna, who apparently had some false flagging campaign running. One guy said he got me for saying burn in hell. You saw the tweets. I didn't say that. Submitted your report for behavior. Comment is hidden. Don't forget about the return. We locked Marzgurl's accounts for breaking our abusive behavior rules. We found they broke our abusive behavior rule through different reports we received about their behavior. They can't tweet, retweet, blah, 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 blah. Twitter jail. Yep, same here. She's the worst person ever. It takes a while, but karma always comes around. She literally hoped someone would burn in hell in the tweet I reported. No, she didn't. Holy shit, let's go. I stand with Vic. Violation found. There was no violation. Yeah, bots. Take a look at this one a second time. This was the one that was reported for self-harm. Take a look at the tweets I received notification for and ended up deleting. Do any of these look like they talk about self-harm to you? Same here. She's the worst person ever. You submitted a report for self-harm. The tweet, you dumbass, I deactivated my... Oh, clearly it's self-harm to get rid of your Facebook, right? Like, you're only harming yourself by deleting your Facebook. What? Like, you do realize by tweeting something like this Lydia account, you do realize you're setting yourself up to be reported for false flagging, right? Like, that's what you... Like, this is just gonna ping pong back and forth at this rate. Whoops. There we go. This is not the first time I have been a target of this kind of wave of false reports. I've had my account suspended in the past because I used gendered pronouns in a tweet, and then in the bad faith actors used Twitter's rules intended to protect trans people to false flag them. This is just yet another example of a swarm of bad faith actors reporting any and all tweets all at once just to see if maybe something sticks because Twitter's reporting system for abuse is garbage. Guess what? It works. Because they find a loophole and Twitter won't fix it. So the good news is that Storyteller is suspended, but Zeno, whatever, who demanded my attention for 2 months straight, gets to get away with everything he did, harassing me incessantly, using email, Facebook, and PayPal to further it, and possibly sending someone to my home. Of course, after he incited this entire incident, screaming at me because he thinks me having the gall to block him is cowardly, he blocked me. Convenient that he did this right after he incited someone posting a home address and threatening to show up there. No responsibility. So thanks, Twitter safety, really nailing your job here on this one. You allow people to go on harassing, abuse your reporting system, and then punish the person who was actually being harassed in the first place. Just doing an absolute outstanding job. Hats off to you. Just a follow-up. You quote tweet people who have you blocked to send your followers after them nearly every day. You're not innocent either. You come along and think you can say whatever you want, that I'm not allowed to respond and that I should just take it, and then think I can't block the very people who instigated the harassment in the first place. That's absurd. So I just thought this was like an interesting thread to talk about because there's a few things. We all know Twitter is garbage, right? When it comes to dealing with harassment, when it comes to false flagging, when it comes to getting anything done, you're dealing with bots that are just like crawling through looking for keywords and stuff like that, right? We're all well aware of this. We're all well aware of like who's really gonna be sending anybody after anybody when you've got one person being incredibly active and another person who's like, stop. Retweeting and quote tweeting is not necessarily sending anybody after anyone. It's being open about what people are saying or attempting to do to you in this case in particular. If you then get people coming to you saying, hey, your behavior is bullshit, which is the thing that you're doing to this person, then they're following the same line of logic you are. So if I say, hey, listen, I'm only tweeting at, let's use Marzgurl as the example. If I'm tweeting at Marzgurl because I believe her behavior is wrong, and the reason I'm tweeting at her is to say, hey, I don't agree with your behavior and you need to stop whatever you're doing. And then she quotes me and says, look at this person, what the fuck? And then people come to me and say, hey, I think your behavior is wrong and you should stop. Those people that are coming to me are doing the same thing I am doing. So it doesn't make sense that I have any complaint in that matter. You know, rules for thee, but not for me type of thing. You've also got this situation where it was blatantly false reporting just based on you reported this person for self-harm, right? People being happy that an account that they think is, for whatever reason, is like just bad for communities or bad for, is a bad person, which I think is kind of like a little bit of an absurd judgment to make, but whatever, not the point. There's a degree of maybe, I don't know, hypocrisy, right? Because you've got, what's the best way to put this? If you've got somebody who is legitimately harmful and you're happy that they're gone and off the platform because you don't believe they should be on the platform, is not inherently a false flag situation. So like Father of Five or Daddy of Five or whatever they were called. They had videos that was clearly of them abusing their children, right? Like clearly abuse. And so people on the internet saw that and reported it. And there were results that came from that of the involvement of CPS. Randomly calling CPS on someone you don't like, bullshit. Don't do shit like that. You can not like their online behavior, but if they're not, you have no reason and you've never seen any abuse of a child at all, you calling CPS is dumb as hell. It's wasting CPS's time. You're putting strain on the system. You're doing more harm than you are good. And you're doing nothing but causing problems. You're making it more difficult for CPS to do their job later down the line if something does occur, right? So there is no reason for that. Now, here's the thing. If you noticed, this guy was like, come and join my Discord and scream at me. And then people are like, oh, well, we're glad she got banned for retweeting because that guy, she's sending her followers after that guy. No, that guy invited her followers and everyone that was reading to come to his Discord and have a conversation and scream at him. So there is no her sending anybody in that case. Right? Like I feel like I'm explaining to this like I'm like you're 5. Like this is a pretty cut and dry. Right? An example of a celebrity that retweets any harassment that they really get, and I shouldn't say it's not all, but it could be any, is William Shatner. William Shatner will regularly retweet people who are trolling him, and people will absolutely go to those people and be like, what are you talking about? This is bullshit. Because they make some kind of claim or they make some kind of complaint, and he's like, well, you're inappropriate, and I don't have any obligation to deal with you. And then they're like, well, Captain Kirk would be disappointed. And he's just like, I feel like you don't know anything about Captain Kirk. And so, yeah, his followers will sometimes show up and be like, yeah, what's your problem? You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Right? But this is a standard with him. If you're tweeting at him to troll him, you know what you're getting into. And even if you don't, it's not his responsibility. It's your you instigated this. And when you instigate somebody and they respond, which is what you're asking for, like when you instigate with somebody, you're looking for a reaction. You're looking for them to respond. You don't get to complain that you can't isolate people on Twitter. You can't bully people on Twitter the way you bully them in real life because you can't isolate them in that way. Twitter just doesn't function that way. And I've seen people try to do it before. I've seen people try to bully somebody on Twitter by blocking everybody in a thread except for the person that they're trying to harass. But what they don't understand is that everybody can keep responding to that person. So let's use me as an example. So let's say somebody came to me to say I have sex with my dog, right? And then I respond with, what the fuck are you talking about? And then somebody else is like, what the shit? What the fuck are you talking about? And somebody else comes in and says, you're a loser. What the fuck? And then that person blocks those two other people, but not me, and keeps trying to harass me. The other people that came in, if I say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, the people that they blocked can still respond to me. So I am not isolated. Only the person trying to harass me is isolated at that point because they can't see what anybody else is saying because they have them blocked or they aren't getting notifications. And you can click to view it, but they're not interacting with anybody except for me. So suddenly I'm not the one isolated anymore. They've isolated themselves. Right? So that you cannot isolate people like that on Twitter, particularly anybody who's got any kind of support. And the same thing would apply to Vic Mignogna in the other direction. If people are harassing Vic Mignogna over, I don't know, pick something, he has every capability to retweet them because you initiated. You tagged them. And as soon as you tag them, depending on how close their followers are following, they don't have to say or send anybody because if people are looking at the tag, they're going to see it either way, whether it's retweeted, whether it's quote tweeted, whether they comment, and even if they don't comment. So your complaint about her sending anybody after anybody is you don't know how Twitter works. Because that's just not how it works. And you can't really get around that because even if you lock the replies and be like, oh, only people who are tweeted in this or tagged in this thread can reply, people can still retweet it or quote tweet it or take a screenshot of it and make a separate tweet entirely and have a whole nother conversation. Sadly, if you decide to say something in a public space like Twitter is, you don't get to control where it goes and who gets a hold of it because you've put it out there now. And there's a responsibility that comes with that, particularly when you do have a larger following like Marzgurl has. So if you instigate somebody like Marzgurl and she decides she's going to respond to you, that thing that you were trying to get her to do, you don't get to turn around and complain that you're getting backlash. Because that's what you wanted. Like, what are you talking about? Have your cake and eat it too then, asshole, I guess. Like, what do you... Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Do I think Marzgurl deserves to get some flack for some things? Sure. I don't agree with her on, like, some of her takes. Of course not, because, humans are humans and not everybody agrees with everything. Of course. Do I think that the Vic Mignogna people that are supporting her are justified? No! Like, to dox her and shit and stalk her at her house? No, of course not. Do I think Vic Mignogna should be stalked at his house? No. Also absolutely not. He absolutely should not be getting stalked at his house. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. It doesn't help anybody. You're a piece of shit. It's really that simple. We've dealt with doxing cases and threats before on this channel. We've talked about them before, had like bigger issues with members in the community, or however you want to describe that group of people. And it's broken up friendships, and it's broken up collaborations, and it's because nobody wants to be around the person making the dox threats. Simple as that. Right? So, because now they're a liability, right? So, at what point is like a dox reasonable? Like at any point, can you justify, like reasonably justify a dox? And I would like in the current like climate that we live in. So barring like extreme examples, that I'm trying to keep it realistic. I'm keeping the hypothetical realistic. And I would say I have not personally been able to come up with a justified reason that is not malicious. Right? So excluding an accident. So this is purposeful. I cannot come up with a reason that it is okay, that in which case it is not malicious. Because any action that can be taken where that the information of where somebody lives is viable should be going to the police. Like it should be going to the correct, like through the correct reporting system. It shouldn't be going to the internet. And I think one of the most stringent examples I've heard is like, okay, well, what if somebody's abusing children? Or like, let's say like somebody's got like CP on their, and they're abusing children in that way. And my response is, no, you shouldn't dox them, because you don't know what their living situation is. They might have a family who don't know what's going on and have no clue, and that family could get their house attacked and bombed, and you've now killed innocent people, potentially including children. So alert the authorities and let the authorities handle it in the way that they can, and do what you can to help them at their request. Doxing them just opens up this huge can of worms that now everybody has this information. And what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Are you going to be responsible for the one person that went to the house and attacked that family and potentially killed anybody because you put that information out there? No, that it's malicious. Does that mean you should do nothing? No, that's not what I'm saying. Alert the proper authorities and stay on it, because sometimes alerting the proper authorities once isn't good enough. Sometimes you've got to tell them more than once. Now, that doesn't mean harass the police. It doesn't mean call them 500 times. It means actually file a proper report of information that you can show, that you can give them. Also, advice for streamers or anybody who's kind of like working in the same kind of field that I work in, like this sort of area. Alert your local police that you live here and that, hey, I do this, this is my job, and sometimes people on the internet get extreme and they'll put my information out. They might try to swat me, yada, 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 yada. If that's the case, if you get a call for this location, just be aware that this is a potential. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache. You'll take yourself out of danger of being swatted, particularly in more potentially like aggressive police force locations, stuff like et cetera, et cetera. So the righteously indignant are never wrong. I know, right? I know, right? Is Marzgurl telling somebody else's story a good enough reason to harass her forever? No, it's not. Vic already lost his cases because he fucked them up because he listened to internet lawyers. Don't listen to internet lawyers. Hire an actual lawyer. Does that mean internet lawyers are bad people? No, it does not. It means that they aren't giving legal advice, and they're not responsible for what decisions you make, and they can't be held liable for whatever decisions you make because they're not your lawyer. Don't listen to internet lawyers, and internet lawyers will tell you the same thing. Do not listen to internet lawyers. Hire your own representation appropriately. Do I think Vic Mañana got scammed? Maybe. It'd be my opinion. From what I've seen, did he get ripped off? I don't know. I don't know what happened with that money. There's been no answer about that. No clue. So should I be harassed forever because I talked about Vic Mignogna losing his case? No. Will I be? Maybe. It's possible. I doubt it, but it's possible. It's a risk that I take by talking about something that has somebody who is purposefully instigating their fans to do this kind of shit. Because that's the difference, right? I haven't seen anything of Marzgurl instigating or saying that anybody should do anything about said person harassing her. She's just like, hey, this person's harassing me. So at what point should she have respect for the person harassing her to not talk about or not retweet it and call it what it is? No, she should. If she wants to, go for it. If you don't want you trying to harass her getting quote tweeted because you don't want to be, the same thing that you're doing to her happening to you, stop. Don't do it. Simple as that. You can just not. Just not is an option. Now, if you want to have like a conversation about the matter and you want to say, hey, listen, I don't think that what you said about this thing is appropriate or correct to do. I had a debate, a loose debate on the Non Sequitur Show Discord years ago, when I was first coming around that community, because somebody in the Discord was a huge Vic Mignogna fan, and they went off. Because I had said something like, so what? Right? I was like, okay, so they were like, he's being falsely accused. He's got this happening, this, and this, and he's lost his work at Funimation, and this is bullshit, and that's bullshit. And I said, okay, and so he got mad and wanted to have like he's actually ended up being a nice enough guy. Like, I had a conversation with him after the fact, and it wasn't really a problem, but he got really mad, and we set up a debate time, and we both got into a call with another couple other parties to mediate and other people to watch. And he was like, Vic Mignogna didn't do anything wrong, therefore he doesn't deserve to lose his job. And I said, okay, but you're talking about what a company is willing or not willing to do to maintain their image, and whether or not his handling of the situation is problematic for Funimation. Because whether or not you believe Vic Mignogna did or did not do whatever thing he did or did not do, the way he's handled it has consequences when you're in a situation that is that public, right? So, we talked about this in that Vic Mignogna video. If Vic Mignogna admits to being rude or inappropriate with staff at a convention, is it reasonable for conventions to cancel him? And that's going to be up to the individual convention. Is it wrong for people to make other conventions aware that he is problematic? If you know somebody abuses children, do you tell a school if he's applying for a teacher's job? Or she. Gender is irrelevant here. Do you feel obligated from a moral standpoint to say, hey, listen, this person has been inappropriate in the past with students? Where do you start drawing these lines? And these are reasonable questions and conversations to have from either Vic Mignogna's perspective, from Marzgurl's perspective, from Funimation's perspective, and they're not always black and white, and they're not always like hyper gray. But attacking people who are having the conversation does not help Vic Mignogna. Harassing somebody for months doesn't help Vic Mignogna. It doesn't help negotiate and navigate these complicated moral stigmas or moral pitfalls or behavioral pitfalls or social science pitfalls. It just makes it like sorry, who was in here earlier? Intellectual said Marzgurl is bitching about not getting away with it anymore, whatever it is. She got reported for self-harm. There is no self-harm in those tweets, so I don't know what it is in this case. This is what she put Vic and his supporters through. Vic and his supporters? As far as I know, Vic Mignogna is still on Twitter. So what are you referring to? Are you talking about harassment? She put them through harassment and his supporters? What do you mean? So she can choke on it. So what you're suggesting is that because she did two wrongs make a right. So you think she harassed somebody, therefore she deserves to be harassed. You think she doxed somebody, therefore her being doxed is justified. So it's malicious, which is what I had said. I got RNGD gaming. You're never going to solve the problem if you're not willing to have the conversation. Right? So that's why I said, like intellectually, if you want to have a conversation about it, we can talk about it, but just throwing out vague accusations, like demonstrate your point. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say that you should have to demonstrate your point in a live chat. I'm not talking about like just the chat in particular here, right? Like that would be not fair or reasonable. But like put your information together in a nice little packet and then put it out. And if it's fair and if it's reasonable, people will respond as such. Now you are opening yourself up to the criticism and you are opening up yourself to people who are not going to be critical about it. Just look at the comment section on my Matt Dillahunty video. That's fine. And I haven't been like deleting comments or taking stuff down or putting I've had to allow some of the comments that are just calling me a bitch. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can think that. That's not, I mean, it's not relevant to any of the points, but okay. People want to bash Mars because they feel a kinship with Vic and feel victimized maybe, so they lash out against people who are oppressing them. I'm just guessing. Maybe. Vic Mignogna was a very well-liked voice actor when he was, and people still do like him very much. He's got some charisma about him. I will give him that. I think maybe people kind of overplay some of his voice acting capabilities, but that's because he is very nostalgic and he's played some very beloved characters. And people will take those characters and project them onto the individual, right? That's my opinion about, like, I mean, he's not a bad voice actor. I don't mean to say like he's not talented or whatever. I'm trying to compliment him and I'm doing a bad job and I apologize. But at the end of the day, was his decision making in how he ran his court case good? No. Was his court case handled well? No. Does he instigate his fans? Yes. Is some of his behavior questionable to like whether or not it's appropriate with fans and with people who are underage? Yeah. Yes, definitely questionable. Now, has he done anything that he should be condemned forever for? Not that I've seen that can, like, he hasn't gone to jail. He hasn't been arrested. Hugging somebody who's uncomfortable with it is not a crime. So I don't, as far as I know, there is nothing that I would be able to, have there been some stories of things that would be crime? Absolutely. But can you condemn somebody off of the words of another person alone for something that happened 10 years ago? No. And should you be able to? No. Absolutely not. I don't think anybody actually wants to live in that world. So do I think Vic Mignogna should be in jail? No, I don't think he should be. If some of those stories are true, then yeah, he probably should be facing jail time, but he's not facing jail time because the world that we lived in 10 to 20 years ago isn't the same world that we're living in now. Those protections weren't in place before. The capabilities of everybody having a fucking camera in their pocket is no longer, like, wasn't the case. And so even if these stories are true, there is no way to verify them because of the time period in which it happened, because of technological capabilities, and because of what the rules were at the time. So should he go to jail now? There's not enough to go off of, one way or another. Do I blindly believe all these stories? No, because it's not, I'm not defending Vic Mignogna and I'm not attacking him for it either. The only thing I'm condemning Vic Mignogna for is the things that Vic Mignogna said he did. And even then, I'm not even condemning him. I'm just saying, yeah, you're wrong for doing that. Am I sending him to jail? No. Am I saying he shouldn't have work? No, that's up to Funimation or whoever decides to hire him or whatever conventions. And if he's too much of a liability, that's capitalism for you. Do you hate capitalism? He confessed to some of the things in his testimony during the defamation case, but he hasn't been charged for them. Right, because it was a defamation case. It wasn't a criminal case. Exactly. Right? So what should Twitter do? What should Twitter do when it comes to their harassment rules? Well, clearly they need to do something about false flagging because, again, I would say that Marzgurl pretty well laid her case in that these people false flagged me. As soon as that post said, yeah, look at me, I am helping with the report of self-harm on a page that clearly does not, on a post that clearly has no self-harm. Sorry, you're the bad guy. You want to be against cancel culture because you think she's trying to cancel Vic? If you're going to false flag her and try to cancel her, then you can't be mad that your favorite voice actor is getting canceled. And even that is like is he getting canceled? Is he not getting canceled? Are these just the inevitable consequences of his actions coming to fruition based on what he's admitted to and based on his decision making up to this point? I mean, I think that the argument that people online are trying to cancel him immediately falls apart as soon as you look at the PR direction of Funimation. Because again, that happened after Sony bought Funimation. It wasn't Funimation doing an internal investigation. It was Sony who just bought Funimation deciding to investigate some bullshit. Whatever direction it went in, right? And a lot of times companies have a benefit for covering up or hiding or not following through on an investigation on somebody that is a frontward-facing person that makes them a lot of money. Oh, thanks. Yay!
You couldn't find them. They changed the packaging.
They changed the package color.
For 10 minutes.
How dare they? My mom just got back from the store. She bought me some drugs. I couldn't find these drugs before because they changed the color of the packaging. Horrendous. How dare they? Can we draw parallels with Johnny Depp? Because he got canceled purely based on falsehoods. Yes. Okay, perfect. So that's a great parallel. So let's talk about how if you apply the things to how Johnny Depp handled his false allegations versus how, let's assume all the allegations against Vic Mignogna are false, right? Let's just make that assumption. And we'll say, okay, let's look at Johnny Depp and let's look at how he handled it, and let's look at how Vic Mignogna handled it. Vic Mignogna wrote an apology letter admitting to certain things. So already now you're taking the false allegations and making some of them true, at least to some degree. Then you've also got his lawsuit, which was handled horrendously. You've got his deposition, in which it was handled horrendously. You've got him instigating his fans, like, this is a fight, it's not over, we're at war, shit like that. That's not good. Like, his whole handling of the situation did nothing but harm him and his reputation. What did Johnny Depp do? Johnny Depp didn't say shit. For a long time, Johnny Depp didn't say anything. And then he got proper legal representation. And then he duked it out in court. Johnny Depp tried to pacify the person making false allegations against him for years. Johnny Depp also didn't apologize for things that he didn't do. He also didn't have other behaviors that were problematic for his contracts. He wasn't going to cons and being a dick to staff. He had a fantastic reputation. He went to children's hospitals dressed as a character, a beloved character of theirs, and just hung out with them. Now, does that mean anybody who's accused of harassment needs to do these things? No, it just means that was the kind of person Johnny Depp was, and he was consistently like that throughout this, right? And it does, to be fair, it takes a special kind of human being to be able to handle and deal with harassment, false allegations. It is not easy. I do not envy people who have to go through that. It is not a pleasant situation. I've been falsely accused of shit, but how you handle it, especially when you're such a public person, and especially when your paycheck relies on your reputation, you need to put effort in knowing how to handle it. And if you don't know how to handle it, hire someone who does. Get yourself a PR team. So realistically, all of these things being false in Vic Mignogna's point, or from Vic Mignogna's point of view, or if they were all just straight up fully false, all nonsense, if you handle it the way Vic Mignogna did, he was bound to fail, period. Whether or not the allegations were true, he was bound to lose his contracts with Funimation because he became a liability. And how did he become a liability? By his own behavior, not by the allegations. Did the allegations make it worse? Maybe. Did the allegations give Sony an excuse to investigate him? Maybe. Oh my god, consequences to my actions. I'm being canceled. Has Vic Mignogna lost the ability to be a voice actor forever? That depends on him. It depends on how does he change his behavior and the way he's handling things? Because the way he's handling things isn't going well for him. And since he filed another thing, probably not. Same with Amber Heard. Is Amber Heard going to ever be able to act again? Depends on her behavior. Her current behavior, probably not. Because these are consequences to your actions. Nobody wanting to work with you doesn't mean it's because you're getting canceled by outside forces. It means people don't want to deal with you. And people are known to stand up for people who are being harassed or falsely accused. So if you have a good reputation and you've never done any of these things and it's absolutely coming out of nowhere and is complete bullshit, why does nobody want to work with you anyway? Maybe it's because there's some truth to it. Maybe they want an excuse to not have to deal with you. Now draw parallels with Erza Miller. Yeah, get a PR team that's not building your reputation doesn't mean tearing someone else's reputation down. If somebody is falsely accusing you, you can get around that without discrediting or going after them as people. You can do that without ever you can discredit them without ever actually attacking them, the person. I've done this before. You've seen me do it before. Particularly when I was working with Steve, one of the best ways to get around like ridiculously false allegations or ridiculously like abhorrent harassing behavior is to talk about the behavior, not the individual doing it, and what those things mean and why, right? You flip the table. You don't need a PR team. You just need to be truthful and upfront and honest. In an ideal world, yes, but if that were the case, as honest as you are, how you present that still matters. You can be honest, absolutely right, and people can still hate you because you're a dick. And the way you present your information. You can be 100% truthful and 100% honest, and people will not believe you. Or people will still think you're wrong because the way in which you presented yourself and your information. Wording matters, timing matters, how you speak to people matters. Being truthful does not guarantee that people will believe you, right? Being upfront doesn't mean that people will like you. Being honest doesn't mean that from a perspective you are actually telling the truth. So because presentation matters, PR will always be important, particularly when you are a public person. Particularly when you're a public person. If Johnny Depp didn't have the PR team that he did, he'd probably be fucked. Because part of that, like it or not, part of that court case was played for his reputation in general, which means how it's presented, which means how it's approached. You cannot tell me that Vasquez, being the lawyer who, what's it called? Cross-examined, Vasquez being the person who cross-examined Amber Heard was not just arbitrary. It wasn't that, oh, she would be the best for the job because she's the best at questioning. Clearly not, because they had plenty of people to work with. It was absolutely calculated that it was a woman who did the questioning for Amber Heard. And why? Is because the direction that Amber Heard's team was taking. Right? It was the angle that they took was completely undermined by having a woman do the cross-examination for her. If they had done a man, they would have tried to spin that, well, he was treating this woman victim so poorly. How dare this man question a woman victim, yada, yada, yada. And it would, whether or not they did their job well, would have been undermined by their gender. Which is too bad, because again, we don't live in a perfect world. So I wish it were that simple. And ultimately, I agree with you and wish that were the case. However, how you present information sometimes, especially in like a large room, is more important than what the information is. Politics is a good example of this. Anyway, I've been live for an hour. I just thought this was interesting. Twitter needs to fix their shit. How does Twitter need to fix their shit? Hire more people. You're a big company. Spend a little bit more money and hire more people to actually examine more of these things, to at least to help teach the bot to recognize things better. At the very least. Tactics in a trial are a thing, yeah. If you're going to trial with no plan, you're probably going to lose. I'm going to call it there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. This was an interesting romp. The person is an idiot. The person trying to harass Marzgurl by using a Google image with the watermark still on it. Oh, God. Do better. My God, do better. Nuke Twitter from orbit. Aw. Yeah, don't trust the bots, yeah. If Twitter hires more people, how are they supposed to pay their shareholders? Okay, listen. I'm going to say one hot take before I go. Shareholders need to get over their entitlement of the crazy percent profits they've been making for the past couple of decades and start actually investing in a business and start remembering that business is supposed to be a risk, which means you can lose, which means maybe you're not entitled to insanely high insanely high profit margins. You're going to have to let that go. So if you're a shareholder, I love you, but stop. You're living in a dream world. It's not going to last, and you're going to destroy everything that you worked on or worked for, whatever. Anyway, that's my hot take. I'm getting out of here. Tell me how wrong I am about politics in the comment section down below. Don't forget to, like, subscribe, and, member and all that shit. Whatever. Go tell the people who hate Marzgurl and love Vic Mignogna that I'm the worst person ever so they can come and give me views. Thanks very much. Fuck Kiwi Farms. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.